Hi everyone, it's Tanya here, coming to you for the Wednesday night live. I hope there's lots of people on tonight. I'm going to show you some texture paste. I did a little poll last night to say, to ask what you'd rather see, some texture paste like demos or some, trying to think, shaker cards, shaker layouts, that sort of stuff. It was even. The poll was even. So I opted to do texture, and then we'll try for shakers and whatnot next week, unless Ange is ready to go. So I'm just about to flip the camera around so you don't have to look at my face, and I'm going to show you some stuff around texture paste and how you can do colours and cut out your own stencils and all that sort of stuff. Hi, Dawn. All right, so I'm just going to flip it and turn the camera around. So hopefully you can see it. Might have to move my table. There we go. All right, so texture paste. I absolutely love that we've got texture paste. This little thing, I'm going to show you how to do this technique in a minute. But we've got 3 in our range. It's a Ranger brand. It's I can't remember what the words that they use for some of these other lines that we carry that aren't CTMH. But my go-to is this opaque texture matte. I buy it in the big jars. It's 3.9 fluid ounces, so 116 mils. I love it. I use it for everything. We also sell them in little bottles. You can have a sampler. And so that's where you'll get to try the other ones. We've got transparent matte texture paste and a transparent gloss. Now I have played with these. You wouldn't be able to tell from how much I've used out of the jar, not much. But I have played with them, and I will show you some samples on those as well. This one here, as you can see, is black. That's because I'm on about my 5th big bottle of this stuff, so I use my little one straight away. But I put my leftovers in here, so this is one that I had leftovers for a layout. So I keep these little bottles and they come in very handy. So tonight I'm going to show you how to colour some texture paste, what you can use to colour your texture paste. I want to talk to you about stencils. So I think we might start with stencils first. So because you don't need stencils to apply texture paste. You can use, you can scrape it on your page with a credit card if you want to, and then use forks or something to put texture into it. You can have cutouts use thin cuts to cut out some shapes out of cardboard or cardstock. You're better off to use a plastic though, because you're not going to get as much bleed. So I'm going to talk to you about that first. So here we go. We sell matte stencil film. Now, these sheets are 9 inches by 12 inches. There's a great setting on your Cricut for these. Your Cricut, you turn around to custom, and I always cut mine on stencil film. I think it's 0.4 millimeters. I cut heaps. I will sit and design in Design Space and create my own. I'm going to show you some in a minute. So this is the film. It's a bit... sort of reminds me of vellum, really, but it's going to wash. So I've just done a couple little samplers, and usually my go-to for cleaning these is a toothbrush. This is some that Dawn got me after a trip overseas. You know how they hand them out on the planes for your long-haul flights. I just keep one of those in my kit, and I scrub it with soapy water, ready for the next go. Some of it will retain some stain, but it doesn't affect its use. I've had a couple bugger up as well, like when they've cut, because I might have, used an old blade or something with it, and it's torn. It doesn't matter. It adds to the effect. So I'm going to show you those. So that's our stencil sheets. They are awesome. The other thing you might see that I'm working on here, I've got this mat today. This is our all-purpose heat-resistant mat. It's got a sticky back, so it's going to stick to the table and not move. It's also heat-resistant, perfect for heat embossing as well, so it's a protective surface. I like to use this when I'm doing my texturing. In between, I can wipe off just with a chucks, and away you go. All right, I'm going to show you some of the stencils. So these are just some that I played around with Oh, it must have been before I went on holidays. So they did some Easter layout type things. So I cut a couple of our bunny and an egg that's on our cartridges. I like to make my own as well. So this one here, it was a doily off one of our cartridges that I positioned into a circle, a sliced circle in Cricut, and welded it together, and then I got that to cut out and I'll just resize it into two. I've used those on a layout. I'll show you those in a second. This is one of those ones that I said stuffed up. Look, it's meant to have a border all around the outside. No, it tore. So, but guess what? I ran with it and it is great. As you can see, it's very well used. I've used it for a couple of workshops. And then this one is a sneaky peek of the other one that was sitting on the table here before when I started the video. So this is just a few hexagons that I have pieced together, attached and sliced out of my stencil sheet in Cricut. There's nothing stopping you apart from the width of using a thin cutting machine to go through and cut these shapes out. You could do that as well to make your own stencils. If you wanted to do one of those bouquet technique, you know, where you sponge the circles and then you sponge other circles over the top and you get that 3D layering effect of all those bubbles over your paper. You could make a stencil using your thin cuts with that. You could do hearts, whatever. So you're not restricted to having to have a Cricut to do this stuff. You can use these stencil sheets. I've also been fortunate enough that somebody's given me one from another company. I'm not going to sneeze at that. I don't mind. You could use anything. You know, you could have things like Tupperware, you know, the stencils that you had as kids, those sorts of things. There could be something lying around the house that you could use. You don't have to use the stencil sheets. You don't have to make your own. You could find them anywhere. So that's another one. So I'm going to show you the projects that we've done with those. I keep putting stuff on there. So this one here, this one, I've just made my own pattern paper, but it's textured. Can you hear that? For a Christmas card, very simple. It's just a white card, rounded corners, some ribbon, a couple of pearls and a stamp. Super easy, super quick, away you go, done. Really nice effect. This one here, I can't find, I've got a whole pile of stencils. I've got them stashed somewhere safe. I'm sure I'll come across them when I go to retreat. All right, so this one here on the base pages, I just wanted these little white patterns here. So it's really fine, really delicate. I use the opaque matte. And it's just little bits on the page. I've also, you might see some shiny bits there. That's actually liquid glass that I've used as like enamel gem type things. It's just dotted on the page and left set to dry. This one here is one where, this one here is where I've used a combination or the different texture paste. I think this is transparent gloss. What I've done, I've just really roughly scraped that on with a texture tool, just scraped it on to give like a little water effect on the page. You either like it or you don't. I like seeing some of this texture stuff. It's, you know, making my own printed paper almost. So, and there's a few splatters there that I use with the shimmer brush. This one here is where I've used a combination. So I've tinted the texture paste with, I think it was pink ink. I'm not sure. I don't think it was shimmer, because I will show you how to create that as well. But up here you can see these watery, like these wet spots as well. So I've used that little doily template again. So I've gone and done, I always do, for some reason, I do the transparent stuff first. I do the shiny stuff first on the bottom, and then I go over the top and do the opaque matte over the top. I just like that effect a bit better. So it sort of gives you shiny spots and not so shiny spots, and there's texture. For these as well, so I've got these thin cut circles. I've gone and put texture paste on those, the pink texture paste. Same with those ones, so you can create your own patterns on plain cardstock there. Just gives you a little bit of extra something. I don't know. I like to play with that sort of stuff. This one here. So this is the one I use with that broken stencil. That's this one. This is opaque matte texture paste tinted with a black shimmer brush You just keep adding black until you get the colour that you want. So it's just, you know, I like that. I like it. Whoops, sorry. I just bumped that, sorry. All right. I'll show you the finished layout of one that I'm going to demo tonight. This is a bit of a sneak peek too of things that are coming in the next catalogue. So the girls who were here the other weekend saw this. I'm trying to think, which way does it go? Okay, so in this situation I have used, if you have a look, I've used the texture paste on the base of my white page just to give it a little bit of something. And I've been really rough. I haven't done it smooth, so I'm going to show you that in a minute. So that's this one as well. Don't you love the new paper, new colours? It's very nice. This one again has been tinted with the Mint Shimmer Brush. All right, so I think that is where I'm up to. All right, so this one here, this is one I've pre-done. So you can see you can put as much or as little on as you like. So listen to it. I described to everybody that it's like buttering a piece of bread, you know, putting icing on a cupcake or something like that. You can be rough or you can be gentle or you can make it smooth. So the thing is, I've got my white piece. We've got texture tools. Ours are black. I already had these, so I haven't rushed out and bought any yet. Same quality, they're great. This one here is my favourite. You'll need, if you've only got the little jars, you'll need one of these ones to get the stuff out, because obviously this one won't fit, but I like this one. I also like it for mixing. I'll show you how to mix some colours in a minute, because I'm going to do this one and then set it aside to dry. I keep all my own old jars, and this one here is for that one. I'm not sure I'm going to have enough. It doesn't look like it, but it comes out like icing as well. I haven't mixed it very well. I've, you know, I wanted a little bit of the white to come out. So you don't have to put it on straight. I'm not going to. I'm going to take it off to the side. I'm not sure my light's doing the right thing today. All right, so here we go. It's just like buttering a piece of bread. Oops. And basically you wipe on, wipe off. I can see Kerry here tonight. I can see Liz. Hi, Liz. Hi, Kerry. Thanks for tuning in. All right. See if we can get a bit more out of this. Otherwise, I'll be showing you how to mix it too. It does go fairly far, so, you know, you can be stingy or you can be generous. It doesn't matter. You can mix up just what you need. I'll just leave it at that because I'm going to be able to come back to it anyway. Scrape it back off into the jar. It's fine. Put your lid on securely. The other thing you should do is, if you're going to be doing it for a while, put your lid back on in between, because you don't want your jar to dry out. I'm just going to lift that off. And as you can see, I sort of swiped on, swiped off. So that's why I've got some see-through bits and not so see-through bits. All right, so that's that one easy done. I'll put that aside. I'll come back to it later. I'm going to show you some mixing. So I'm just going to wash my scraper. Some mixing. So you can mix in, you can get colour, add colour to texture paste in 3 ways. Or 3 ways that I know of. All right, so you can use a re-inker. You can use an ink pad. Or you can use a shimmer brush. One thing, I probably should put the lid back on that, not leave that like that. Hi, Judy. Okay, so our shimmer brushes. I had a lady, and I feel terrible. I had a lady come to me on the week and she goes, my shimmer brush keeps leaking. I was like, and when she showed me, I saw it still had this little yellow thing in it. So anybody who's bought the shimmer brush off us, what you have to do, you have to take this lid off, take this yellow bit off, throw that yellow bit away, twist this down until it's all the way to the bottom. Even if, that's not quite. See, there's a bit of a gap. You've got to twist it all the way. If you don't have the hand strength, get hubby to help you. Shimmer brush, good shake. Here it's got little balls in it. Good shake, away you go. So, and then you'll give it a squeeze. I'm going to make up a bit more of this other green stuff to put in this tub in a second to show you how to tip the texture paste with the shimmer brush. So I'll do that one first. All right, so this is where this mat comes in very handy. You could use a piece of, I don't know, plastic, a page protector if you don't have something. I like to get a bit messy. So in this case, I'm just scooping out a good dob. I'm going to pop it onto my mat, and then I'm going to squeeze my shimmer brush until the goodness comes out. Look at that. Can you see that sparkle? It's nice. All right. Do I need to? All right. So then it's just like mixing icing. To me, it's so much like icing. You just want to eat it. I hope the kids don't see it. If it's not dark enough, what do? Just give it a bit more. Give it a bit more. And for this one, I'm not mixing it in completely. So it doesn't matter that it's a bit white and it's a bit green in spots. It's fine. Then, so normally if I was doing a layout, I'd do this off to the side, have it on the side, and then I'd work it into the paper. So I'm going to do that for the next one. But that's it. Done. In. Away. I've kept little tubs of from cooking sprinkles. That one doesn't work so well. It's gone a bit hard. I wouldn't use that. It's time for that to go in the bin. I think it's been left a bit long, or not as airtight as what it should be. So try to use it all as you go, but if you've got good airtight containers, they're going to work, because like I was saying, this one here has been done for a couple of months and it's still wet and squishy and comes off, and it'll apply nicely. All right, I'm going to show you the next method. I'm just going to wipe off my mat here. Dry it a little bit. Right, next one. This one I'm going to make red, and I'm going to apply it straight away. So just doing a bit of cleaning. Right, so again, you can tint the opaque or the transparent gloss and matte, no worries, but obviously it's going to be like a little like translucent coloured piece. So I've got candy apple, which we're all going to start getting ready for Christmas cards. Just a couple of drops. You might only even need one. It just depends on the colour that you want. Red's always a bit funny. It can turn out pink. But this one looks like it's going to be fairly true, although it's going a bit orange. Even with cake decorating, red's a bit funny. I'm going to give this a good mix because I want it smooth and delicious. Okay, bit more red. Right, I'm going to use my doily. I can find it. I'm going to stick the doily on the page. It's always good if you're making your own stencils, just to give you a little area that you can put your fingers on. I don't know what's better. Here we go. It's going to be a bit hard. This is almost orange. This is cool. Again, you're scraping on to scrape off. Now, this stuff it depends on the weather on how long it takes to dry. So most of the time, if you've scraped it fairly well, it should only take about 15 minutes. If it's really humid, it's going to take longer. Don't be tempted to set this stuff with your heat gun, because it will puff up and it'll look like garbage. I've done some testing. I've even done some testing using embossing powders over the top, don't do it. It's not great. It's not great. It's not designed for that. So now I just got to lift this little lovely off. So that's that. That's that one. How nice is that? Beautiful, crisp, clear. I could, yeah, make a card with that, although it's not centered, but that's okay. I'm just going to throw this template into the little wash that I've got behind me. I'm going to have to find something to stick this in. Just bear with me. For now, I'm just going to put it into a little Ziploc baggie that doesn't have any holes in it. And I'll put that into a little container later. I did have one on the bench. Right, next one. I'm going to show you how to add colour using an ink pad. So not everybody has reinkers. That's okay. But you might want some colour. So this is the other way that I add colour to a piece of paper. I'm going to go this way. I don't know why I picked blue. Why did I pick blue? Oh well, blue will work because it's going to actually not matter. So I'm going to set this one aside. And the other thing about these mats, you can stamp on them like this. So I'm adding my stamp, my ink pad. Not going to get as much out this time. And then I'm just going to run this around the mat to pick up the colour. So even if you don't have the reinkers, you can tint your texture paste. All right, we're going to do some blue bricks. Why not? Now, if you want like a bit more roughness, texture on your bricks, you don't have to scrape it all off. And you can put scratches and swirls and all that sort of stuff in there. I'm going to pull this up. So see, it's a bit rough looking. That's okay, because then our bricks are sort of all natural looking. All right, so remember before I said about you could put this coloured stuff over the top of the transparent stuff. I've done a couple a little bit earlier. So this one here, oh, it's not quite dry. I used the transparent matte on this one. And you can see it's not shiny, it's matte looking. Over here it's still not quite dry. And see, it's sort of tone on tone. See, it's a sort of implied texture. So you could use it like that, no worries. But what if you used it for resist? So resist is adding colour to, hang on, I need to clean up. Adding colour around it, using an ink pad or sponge or one of those tools. See, I've got chucks and paper hand towel. All right, so I've got this espresso ink pad, a little sponge dauber or a little sponge, and I'm just going to do it on the dry bit so that you can see. And I've never done this before. I only had a thought. Our ink pads are great. So if you saw last week, you saw that I squeezed to grab colour. So that way there's colour in the lid. I can pick that up off my sponge. And then, because I want the grout to be darker, you get the picture? I need a bit more. I'm not going to go all the way to the edge because it's just going to ruin it because of the bits that aren't dry. But This, as I said, this is the transparent matte. How good does that look? Could you imagine that over the whole thing if it was dry? It looks pretty awesome. They look like pretty real bricks, I reckon. So great masculine type backing for a card. Make your own. You don't need printed paper. You can make your own. It's fantastic. I've got another one that I prepared earlier. Isn't it great? I love this. I hope you're loving it. I'm just going to do my dishes. Hang on. Right. Just bear with me. All right. So I'm trying to be conscious not to say the same thing as I was sort of listened back to the video last week and it was a bit ordinary. So, but anyway, right, clean up. This time I'm just going to use straight white. I'm going to go back to the doily. I'll show you what I did. So here we go. This is where I've used the gloss. You see that little bit of shine? There you go. All right, so I'm going to go over the top of that, a bit like I did on that other doily page that I had. And just going to go straight out the jar. So it's dry. I probably did that at about 25 past 8. So it's good that it's dry. Where's my little one? Just going to quickly mix up some blue, because why not? You have to. You can only do this stuff, this like layering, once it's dry. Give it a good mix. And see, I get my mat a little bit messy. Now I'm not pressing on any of the areas that I've already done with the opaque colour anyway. Right. So could you imagine that? So if I then went, I could do a bit more yet. Say I tinted this stuff with peacock and did another layer. It'd come up awesome. Really great. So I think that's everything I wanted to cover. If you've got any questions about texture paste, be sure to post them on this page and I can answer them. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.